welcome back to That Dad Guy, and welcome back to the latest episode of Stamp versus Stamp, where I collaborate with Snailmail with Smokey. So Smokey and I get together every month and do kind of these quirky little videos that feature a bunch of different stamps. Well, today we're going to try to do something a little bit different once again. Through the magic of Zoom meeting, we are going to have a live conversation. Live for us, that is. Of course, you're watching it in a video, but it's going to be stuff that's going to be off the cuff, and we're discussing the 12 Days of Christmas. You guys all know that song about my true love gave to me, and then the list of the 12 different days and all the items that they get. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. The videos will be very similar. We're going to have a different intro. Of course, I'm doing my intro, he'll do his. The actual discussion will be exactly the same in both videos, but what's going to appear are the stamps that we've selected, and those will be different based on whose video you're watching first. And I implore you to watch both videos. It should be a lot of fun. You'll get to see the stamps that he picked, and maybe at the end he'll talk about why he picked those stamps. And then you'll get to see the stamps I picked when you watch my video. So you're watching my video now, so you're going to see my stamps first. Let's get to the discussion. Always make sure you subscribe, you like, you leave positive comments, you share with other people, you put the notification bell on. You do the same thing for Smokey as well when you watch his video. And in the comments, you can leave suggestions about what you might like to see us do in the future for videos. We're always looking at new ideas and trying to do different things to promote the hobby of stamp collecting. So let's get to our conversation. Hi, Smokey. How's it going?
Hey, Rob. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. We're talking about the 12 Days of Christmas so far.
We are talking about the 12 Days of Christmas. I've let all of my viewers know that this is going to be a kind of new thing for you and I. We're going to have a conversation face to face, or as close as we can. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. So to let everybody know, we haven't edited this together, that this is a Zoom meeting. We're using a Zoom app, I guess. It's new to me. Smokey's got the experience with this program, so we're just going to have a conversation about what we know about the 12 Days of Christmas, and periodically in each one of our videos, we're going to be putting up a stamp. So you will see that the stamps in both of our videos will be different, so you have to watch both videos, even though you will have heard the conversation the same in both videos.
Right. So I'll be showing in my video the stamps that I picked to represent the 12 Days of Christmas, and then people have to watch your video to see the stamps that you picked to represent how you feel about the 12 Days of Christmas.
Right. And then the only other different things about our videos will be my intro introducing what we are going to do here, and my outro, and vice versa on your channel.
Yeah, sounds good. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
So speaking of the 12 Days of Christmas, have you looked at the history of the 12 Days of Christmas?
I have done a little research on the 12 Days of Christmas just to be prepared for this conversation. Have you done your research?
I have done the research, so I'm interested to see if we've come up with the same kind of research.
All right. So before we talk about each individual day and those presents that they represent, give me your facts of the religious side of the 12 Days of Christmas, if you will.
Yeah, well, the 12 Days of Christmas represents, it begins actually on December 25th, ends on January the 6th. It is the 12 days that is believed in Christianity that it took the Magi, or the three wise men. We don't really know there were three. The Bible just says there were three gifts, so we say, hey, there were three Magi. How long it took them to actually reach Bethlehem to see the baby Jesus. And then that 12th day is celebrated as Epiphany throughout the world, when the Magi actually reached the baby Jesus and then presented their gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. So that's the history, the Christian history behind the 12 Days of Christmas.
Okay. And do you know the history behind the 12 Days of Christmas, the song?
I know that the first version of it, I believe, was like in 1780. It came out in a children's book. Mm-hmm. And that children were kind of tasked with learning this repetitive nursery rhyme kind of thing, and that if they messed up somewhere in between, then they had to give a treat or a small gift to the person that they were reciting it to until they got it right. So my research shows it was a start of a memorization.
Yeah, it's a memory game.
Yeah,
I think we've all played those type of memory games. Sometimes they call it, a phone call. There's all sorts of different names you give them to. Somebody whispers in one person's ear and they say a message, and then you whisper it to the next person, and you can see whether or not it's going to be the same at the end. That's a version of it. And then this is just another version just to test your skills, that if I say blue and you say green, and then you have to say green, blue, and then I have to say yellow, blue, green, and keep it in order.
Right.
So so that's another version of it. They also say that it may have even started in France in 1770, so 10 years before it arrived in northern England, because of that first verse, the partridge in a pear tree. Right. There are no partridges at that time, no partridges in northern England at the time, so they think maybe it came from France. I don't know if you got that in your research or not.
Yeah, I did, and then the version of the song that we have today was written in 1909, and that encompasses the words that we use, because the words of the song have changed over time.
Yeah,
things have been added, things have been deleted to kind of, I guess, represent the area or the time period in which we lived. And so the modern tune that we all have stuck in our head every December, and the words, those originate from 1909. So we're over 100 years now singing this crazy song.
And there's been lots of other versions that have been recreated too, and have parodies on it. I don't know if you're familiar with the Canadians Bob and Doug McKenzie of SCTV, but they did a version of 12 Days of Christmas that instead of a partridge in a pear tree, it was a beer, was how they finished it, because they were typical Canadians, and they used all sorts of things that are stereotypical Canadians, like back bacon and all sorts. So
we have here in the States, we have Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh yes,
who came out with the redneck 12 Days of Christmas.
Okay, I'm sure very similar.
So that's probably a similar take. So which brings me, I got to know, what is your favorite version of the 12 Days of Christmas? Do you have a favorite artist or favorite version?
Well, I guess my favorite version is that Dad Guy's version. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but my son and I did a parody of the 12 Days of Christmas when he was much younger. So it is in my video catalog. And if you go to Bob and Doug McKenzie's homepage, they actually reference our video, which my daughter found, which I was super stoked about. So
that's awesome.
That's my favorite version, because it's me with my younger son at the time being all goofy and silly.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen it, but I'll go way back and check it out.
Once again, it uses lots of it's a parody on Bob and Doug, so we're using their type of characters and their speech, and lots of Canadianisms around us represent the 12 different days. So
nice.
So speaking of let's go to the very first day. Partridge in a pear tree. What is that? What brings to mind?
So for me, and real quickly, because I'm famous for my long stories. Growing up, my dad raised game birds. He raised bobwhite quail. He raised pheasants, but he also raised chucker partridges. And so whenever I think about a partridge in a pear tree, I think about these birds that we had running around when I was growing up.
Yeah, for me, I think partridge, and the only thing I think of is hunting. Now, I'm not a hunter. Well, I'm a little bit of a fisherman every once in a while, catch and release only. But when I think of partridge, I think of partridge hunting. So I don't think of them as in association with the pear tree, first of all. I don't know why a partridge would be in the pear tree to begin with, but it brings to mind hunting to me. So when I go through this list of 12 days and their gifts, I can't imagine what you're doing that the love of your life on the very first day, on Christmas Day, presents you with a partridge.
In a pear tree.
In a pear tree, yeah, of course.
So
nothing says love like a bird in a tree.
In a tree. Which brings to mind, is it a full-grown tree, or is it just a sapling?
Well, I guess that would have to take you to day 2.
Right.
So in day 2, not only do you have a partridge in a pear tree, but now you're getting 2 more birds. You're getting 2 turtle doves.
Right.
What are we doing with turtle dove? I know people release doves as a form of love. That's something that's common. Releasing doves for peace, but doves for love. So I kind of get the turtle doves.
Right. I have performed weddings
Okay.
where at the end of the ceremony, they release a dozen or 2 dozen or 40,000 or whatever doves. It's never been 40,000, but
Oh
it's
God.
usually a dozen or so. You walk out the church and they let the doves go, and you hope it's some magical moment. Usually something crazy happens.
Right.
But yeah, I get it. I get the dove thing. Yeah. But
What
the
about
thing,
three French horns?
3 French hens.
Three French hens. Sorry. Yes, I've got
Yes.
the notes in front of me here. There we go.
Oh, yes. Hens. Uh, because you're going to be hungry, I would
Okay,
think.
so on day 3, that's when you're gonna start eating the gifts. Is that what you're
Day,
saying?
day day three, I think you start eating. I mean, you could eat the partridge. I don't know about the doves. I don't know anybody that eats those.
Right.
Uh, but day 3, I think we get serious about food,
Okay.
and we're to me, you're roasting chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, whether you're grilling it or doing a traditional kind of roast thing. Uh, and to me, that's not a bad gift. I mean, if on Christmas somebody gave me 3 hens that were already cooked, I'm a happy guy.
How much meat's in a hen?
What is well what
Is
four,
it bigger than a chicken?
well I
Smaller than a turkey?
it's smaller than a turkey. You
Okay.
have I think you call them roaster hens,
Okay.
and so I think they're usually 4 or 5 pounds is what we have around here.
So to have 3 hens between 2 people, because it's love once again, that's still gonna give you some leftovers.
You've got chicken for a day or two.
Yeah, so you'll have some leftovers the next day.
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
by the time you get to day 4 and you get
Yeah,
the calling birds,
right. Yeah. So in my research and trying to find a and when I try to look at stamps, I try to look at a stamp that each of these things on here, not
yep.
necessarily the pneumatic order.
Okay.
But the calling birds, in the original version, it was called a collie bird, which is a black bird.
Okay.
Because you got to think, well, doesn't every bird call? I mean, every bird makes some sort of noise to attract another bird.
See, I didn't do the history side of it on the calling bird. I think of calling birds more as like a messenger pigeon, sending a
Okay.
message. Now, I don't know if that's true and probably isn't, but I think by the time you have 4 of them, you're sending messages back and forth to your loved one with these are the calls that you're doing at the time. There wasn't a telephone at the time, so you were sending the messages by birds.
So today it would be like 4 texts or tweets or
Yeah, it could be a tweet. That would be appropriate.
but right or
Yeah.
Instagram message or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I just did. My research said it's more of a blackbird because in the other traditional English thing where it's like was that 4 blackbirds baked in a pie?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. And
Okay.
once again, why we're eating blackbirds, I don't
Maybe
know.
that's all that was available at the time and when they were writing it. I don't know.
Maybe.
And it's possible we're not seeing the song from the right perspective. Maybe they're not eating all their gifts, and that's
Maybe
why you
not.
get to day 5 and you're getting 5 golden rings.
Well, so my favorite version of the 12 Days of Christmas is the Muppets version.
Okay.
And when you get to the 5 golden rings in the Muppets version, it all goes downhill from there,
Okay.
and that's why I love it. Now, in the research I did, it said the 5 golden rings may not have been actual gold bands or rings like we think, but may have referred to the ring around the neck of a ringneck pheasant,
Okay. So it brings it back to birds again.
right? Which we also raised when I was growing up. And so there are many different kinds of pheasants, ringneck being one of them, and they have a ring, but they're not really golden. Now there's a golden pheasant, but that's not a ringneck pheasant. A ringneck pheasant has a ring, but it's not golden. So I don't know how accurate whether it's a pheasant or not. I think most of us now consider it to be like a gold band, like a wedding band.
Right.
But why we're giving each other 5?
Well, day 5, you're getting close to New Year's Eve. Maybe there's sales on, and you're getting a discount if you buy in bulk.
Maybe it's lose one, you got a spare or two.
Could be. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
All right.
But
Now 7 swans a swimming.
nope, 6 geese a lane.
I'm skipping over. See, I'm already doing Bob and Doug here. All right. 6. 6 geese a laying.
Yeah. So once again, when I was a kid, my mom had some pet geese. They are the meanest animal I've ever seen in my life. They would honk at you. They would chase you. They had all of creation to go the restroom in, but only wanted to do it right in front of our door.
Were they Canadian geese?
I don't think they were. Not sure what they were. I was young, but I just remember these geese chasing my mom around the yard
Yeah,
and honking at her. And maybe because they were lame, I don't know, when they were grumpy.
maybe. Maybe very protective.
Maybe.
I mean,
But
here in Canada, we call Canada geese cobra chickens because they're just mean.
okay. Okay.
They're long necks and they're
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a similar experience. So I don't know if I would want to get 6 geese because these are actually live birds because they are laying
Yeah.
eggs.
And they're
But
in their
maybe,
protective stage because they're laying eggs, so they're going to be mean.
yeah. So, yeah,
All
I
right.
don't know. Now we can do the swans.
Yeah, sure. Go 7 swans a swimming.
Yeah.
Beautiful creatures. I mean, majestic to look at. They're equally as dangerous and protective if you get around them. I know the university that my wife and I went to, Mount Allison University, they had a beautiful pond and they had 2 swans in there and they were really mean. The university kids may want to get close to them, but they would have none of it.
Yeah, I've only seen swans in a zoo.
Okay.
And they're beautiful, like you said. I've never been really up close enough for one to chase me.
Yeah.
But they are very beautiful. And since we're talking about stamps, Australia has some really nice stamps that have swans. They got swans on all kinds of their stamps. And
Certainly in my research, I found, especially with the 12 Days of Christmas, there are a number of sets of stamps you could do, whether it be from the UK or Guernsey, or lots of them are the Cook Islands all have sets of stamps. And day 7 with the swans, there's lots of them out there.
Yep. Now we get to where I live because you've got 8 maids of milking.
Okay.
So we have more cows in the town I live in than we do people.
Makes sense.
Because we're a huge dairy state, and our area is huge. I go a mile down the road, and they're producing some of the best milk and cheese in the world. They win national awards and worldwide awards every year for their cheese.
Yeah.
So I can get behind this. I can get behind somebody milking cows in order to make cheese and milk and ice cream, and because I love all that stuff.
Is it a gift you give someone you're in love with, though? 8 women milking cows?
Well, maybe it was the equivalent back then of a dairy farm.
Okay. So you think there might be a property attachment to it, and
maybe
okay.
You're like, hey, I'm buying you an 8-cow dairy farm, and I've hired some ladies to come and milk the cows every day.
Well, I know part of it, when you look at the 12 days of history, they talk about workers having those 12 days off for Christmas as a break. So maybe it is signifying someone else doing your daily task.
Maybe, but how come they don't have the day off?
I don't know. Maybe they weren't unionized. I don't know. Anyways, moving on from that. 9 ladies dancing.
Yeah. If we're talking about gifts again, this is an interesting gift.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just taking your significant other out to a concert or a show or some sort of theatrical performance.
Yeah, I think I see it that way too, rather than having 10 ladies come into your house and dance for you that day.
Right. I think it's more of a, hey, I got us tickets to go to the theater. It's the 9 ladies dancing tonight.
Right. And then tomorrow night we're gonna go see 10 Lords of Leaping.
Right, who are in the adjoining theater.
Yeah.
Kind of like maybe
spouses plus 1.
Right. Maybe the Lords of Leaping, maybe that's like a river dance.
Could be.
or stomp.
Yep.
Maybe something like that. I don't know. And then, as if that wasn't enough entertainment,
we're getting you one more ticket the next day to see.
Right. This is why you need the 3 hens, because you're hungry. You go to 11 pipers piping.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I love bagpipe music.
Yep,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, I think there's something. I don't know. There's something serene about it and peaceful about it. Uh, it's also sad. I don't know in Canada, here in America, at a lot of funerals, there is there's bagpipe music.
Hmm.
There's Amazing Grace or something played on the bagpipes during a funeral,
Yep.
which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm sure these were probably peppier tunes.
If we're saying this is Northern England at the time, and getting closer to Scotland, you could see that having lords and ladies around, and then the piper music coming down from the Highlands. Yeah, it would make for a beautiful after Christmas or 12 days of Christmas.
Maybe it's a picnic by time you get to the pipers,
Maybe.
and you're out on the hillside listening to the music come down from the hilltop.
And maybe you're tired of eating all the birds that you've gotten in all the other days, so maybe you're trying to get further away.
Maybe, or maybe
Just want a little haggis.
maybe you decide to release some of the birds back into their natural habitat.
Could be.
Yeah.
And then day 12, we got
Yeah.
drummers.
Yes. 12 drummers drumming. Now, I know that it's not scriptural or biblical, but I always think about the little drummer boy.
I do too, yeah.
Um, and he was just one. Matter of fact, that's one of the claymation movies my wife and I watch every Christmas. Is a little half-hour drummer boy special,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of what I always go to is thinking about something like that. Uh,
It would change things a little bit if he had 11 people behind him drumming behind you. It's like, knock it off. It's better if it's just me.
right, right, right. Because his whole point was he didn't have anything to give.
Yeah.
All he had was his talent, and that was enough.
Yeah.
That was enough just to give what he had. But times 12, then that's a whole different thing. That's a marching parade or something.
Yeah. Call the war or something. I don't know.
Right.
So when you see the 12 Days of Christmas song, how many gifts do you see?
Well, that's interesting because there are more gifts there. I see 12, but there's actually more when you start multiplying everything.
That's right. So I did the math on it too, because a lot of people say, yeah, there's 12 gifts. Now you could break it down that, yeah, there's 12 drummer boys, so that's 12 individual gifts and do it that way. But there's 364 gifts because every day you get a partridge in a pear tree every day.
Right.
Not just the first day. You get that and everything else.
Right.
So I looked back at it and saw how many things you got. You got 184 birds.
Okay.
You got 40 rings, 40 maids a milking, 30 lords a leaping, 36 ladies dancing, 22 pipers, and 12 drummers.
Where are you going to put them all?
Gifts. I don't know. But I also went and researched and say, how much would that cost me to give those as the gifts? And the research shows that it's 5.4% more expensive to give all those gifts this year than it was last year. And it would cost you $49,263 US if you were to buy all those things for your significant other.
So you're not giving your wife the 12 days of Christmas gifts?
I am not doing that. I probably won't even give her the first day of Christmas because the first day of Christmas alone, those partridges in the pear tree cost $370.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So here's the breakdown because I thought it was interesting. Which do you think is the most expensive thing to give of the 12 days of Christmas?
Ooh. I don't know. I would say maybe the swans.
All right, I'm just going to do it here real quickly here. Number 7 is the swans, $13,125 if you want to give 7 swans.
Okay.
Not the most expensive thing, but it is number 2. So it was a good guess.
Yeah, I got close.
Okay, so let's give you the rundown here. So partridges, $370. If you want to give 2 turtle doves, $750. And this is just if you give the 2, not all 40 or whatever it was. 3 French hens, $347. They're pretty much a bargain on the list.
Yeah, yeah.
4 calling birds is $600, so $150 a calling bird.
Okay.
5 golden rings is $1,245.
Okay.
And that didn't change from last year, so I guess rings didn't get more expensive in the course of a year. Number 6 geese a laying is $900. The Seven Swans we know is 13,125. All right, this one threw me. 8 Maids of Milking costs $58. They get the cheapest bargain out there. I don't know how much their labor is per hour or whether they're just being paid for a short period, but it only costs $58 apparently to get 8 Maids of Milking.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's average where you are.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to fly around here.
That was the cheapest one out of the whole lot. All right, 9 Ladies Dancing, $8,557.
Okay.
And then 10 Lords of Leaping. You think dancers would make more money than just guys jumping around?
Right.
Guys jumping around, because I guess they're guys that get paid more than women. I don't know. It's $15,580. That's the most expensive thing on the list, is to get 10 Lords of Leaping.
Well, they are lords.
They are lords.
So maybe there's a premium.
Could be.
Maybe if they were just like
for ladies, so that I don't know.
Well, that's true. I don't know. Maybe there's a premium attached to that.
Your pipers are $3,715. Not too bad to get 11 pipers.
Right.
And your drummers are $4,016. So for 12 drummers, that gives you $49,263.
I'm surprised at the Lords of Leaping that it's so much.
Yeah, me too. I was really. Now I also checked and saw if you buy all 364 gifts, how much that's going to cost? $209,272 US.
Well, all right. So it's, darling, would you like these presents or would you like a house?
That's right, yeah. So for 12 Days of Christmas, interesting song, fun memory game, but really expensive if you want to do that for the person that you love.
But I don't know about you, but the stamps I picked, nowhere near that amount.
Nowhere near. No, I think you can do our stamps, mine and yours, for a much fractional price.
Pretty fractional.
Maybe even under $10 or $5, depending on where you shop.
I was thinking under 10 for sure.
Yeah. So I think maybe when people are watching this, if they're looking for Christmas gifts for Christmas Day and beyond, maybe they should pick stamps.
I would certainly enjoy stamps as a gift.
What a fun way to have a video. I want to thank Smokey once again for doing this every month. I thank him and thank him again for us having these opportunities to get together and discuss stamps in one way or another, whether it's acting silly in videos like our Doctor Who one we did not too long ago, or whether it is having a face-to-face conversation. This may be the closest we get to see each other face-to-face, maybe for a while anyways. Who knows, one day maybe I'll find myself in Wisconsin, or maybe one day he'll find himself in New Brunswick. Only time will tell. So thank you once again for doing these videos with me. I enjoy them. It's a lot of fun doing the research, finding new stamps, learning about different things. You have seen in the stamps that I chose, I tried not to use stamps from the same sets, so they get different ones. I tried to figure out stamps that, yes, represented each one of those 12 days, and maybe I added a few more on the 12th day too, but it was a lot of fun to pick stamps and do things like that. So hopefully you enjoyed it and got to see some different stamps maybe you haven't seen before, or maybe you have them in your collection. And a lot of those stamps that I showed had series. So if you're interested in the 12 Days of Christmas and collecting the stamps, you can collect the whole series from those things, especially the ones from Guernsey, Cook Islands, Australia, the United Kingdom. They all had series of stamps that represented each one of those 12 days. So go back, look in your Scott catalogs, your Stanley Gibbons catalogs, whatever you happen to use. Maybe going to Hipstamp or eBay, you can find them certainly dirt cheap, and definitely a lot cheaper than what it would cost you to do the real 12 Days of Christmas. Thanks so much for joining us, and till next month, you'll have to keep an eye out and think about what we should do for next month. Leave it in the comments for us. All right. Have a night. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends.
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?